Woo. It has been a wild week, a really wild week. You guys remember when I told you in my last video about what was going to happen once Amazon started the layoffs? Let's just go back really quick. Amazon is just they're one of many that this is going to happen to. And that's just the reality. Yes, that's exactly right. It is going to serve as a catalyst. And since then, we have heard of so many layoffs. It seems like every time we turn on the news or something is coming on, another company is being laid off. And we don't have to go through the list of them because I'm pretty sure we are all living through it and we are fully aware of what is happening now. But there was one particular layoff that triggered this video that serves as the second part to the first video. If you haven't seen that, I highly, highly suggest you go see that. But it was the layoff of none other than, well, let me just show you in the last video. I used to work for one of the biggest technology consulting firms in the world. And the crazy thing about it was I was a part of the team that would do like the strategy calls and like the strategy projects with these different companies. And I would talk about it like, oh yeah, well, AI is going to be here. Then you can automate this. You can bring your bots here. You could have the chatbots, completely automate their payroll. But then it came to me like what that was actually doing was inadvertently getting rid of the need for myself. You see, that big tech company that I was talking about was none other than Accenture. And this is very, very important, especially for what I'm about to talk about now. In the last video, I mentioned that if you guys want me to do a part 2 on how people actually get laid off by AI, I will do it. And I had an overwhelmingly amount of responses to that said that, Jackie, we want you to do a part 2. So that is why I am here. So I know the biggest question is, what does Accenture have to do with this? Well, it has a lot to do with it. And actually, I'm going to head over to my screen so you guys can actually see what I am talking about. So while I was scrolling through the internet, I came across this article by Compass AI Upskillit.com. And the title is the first thing that got me with this. Accenture announces 11,000 layoff amid an $865 million AI-driven restructuring. 11,000 doesn't even touch the surface of Accenture's total workforce, but it's the AI-driven restructuring. I kind of touched on this in the last video, and I was alluding to the fact that it takes a big catalyst, Accenture, to really drive companies to, let's just say, digitize and embed AI within their whole landscape. So let's continue reading so you can understand what I am talking about. So as I scrolled down and started reading, the one sentence, well, should I say the phrase that popped out to me was the last one. Specifically, Accenture is training approximately 70,000 employees in agentic AI, a field focused on developing autonomous systems designed to complement human intentions. Now let's pause for a second. let's break that down for people who don't understand what that means. So pretty much they are creating a field of study at Accenture that they are going to train up all of these, let's just call them AI agents, right? They're going to train up all these people in order to consult with companies to, adopt AI within said ecosystem, right? Let's just keep it that simple. But this is the part that gets me. Designed to complement human intentions. Y'all, the details are in the words. So this is where that whole automation comes in. And I'm going to step into this later on. But essentially, these AI, or this AI, or whatever you want to call it, is going to come in, learn your job by whatever way they're going to learn it, right? And take over different tasks of your job. But let's just be clear. Let's just touch on the first part of this. Your job is made up of tasks. That's the first and foremost. Of the tasks that make up your job, things can be automated. It's all about how many of those things that can be automated. And the reason why this really struck me, you guys, I was at Accenture, as I mentioned at the first part. And I also mentioned that I lost my job due to AI. Now, what I did not mention in there, this is nothing new. It has always been a push to move the consultants to this initiative. However, we all were not awarded the same opportunity because it definitely depended on what job you had at said company. That being said, my job, my function at the company definitely did not, let's just say, transfer easy to this whole initiative. That being said, I was laid off. So that's what I'm saying. And this is all a part of their restructuring program. So when we talk about, downsizing, right sizing, all of that type of talk, this is what is happening. People who are not willing to get in line, companies have something for you, and that is called laying off. And I know you're like, what does this have to do with anything? Well, as we continue to scroll down, it answers that very question. It's all about the industry trends. So Accenture's restructuring is part of a broader trend among consulting and technology firms that are recalibrating their business models to incorporate AI. Other major players like IBM and Deloitte has announced workforce realignment to focus on AI capabilities. These changes often include both job cuts and substantial investments in retraining programs, mirroring Accenture's approach. You guys, it just said it right there. You just seen it. Accenture is going to do this, others will follow. But the fact that Accenture and other consulting firms, they're consulting firms, and that's exactly what they do. They consult with other businesses. This is going to be a ripple effect. It's going to come down to the business level. And this is exactly what is going to happen. They are going to push this to the different companies. And this is where the whole thing that I talked about, there is no way around it. There's literally no way around this. This is going to happen. You are going to continue to see layoffs after layoffs after layoffs after layoffs because this is literally the future of work. They are pushing this hard. But also within this same wording, you also see that they're making a substantial investment in retraining programs. So teaching people how to adopt this and teaching people how to work alongside these different AI tools. So there is a lot of hope, but I just wanted to come on to tell you like what is happening. Like I'm not just speaking out my ass when I'm talking about things like this, but that is not it. That is not it. That is not all I have for you today, because also I want to talk about how, and I use loose quotes, how your job can actually get taken over by AI. So let's go back to the computer to see exactly how this all makes sense. So I went ahead and made a graphic for you guys so you can understand, based on what I'm saying, so it could just be laid out easily to explain. Now, don't go in here and crack on my graphic, but I just wanted to simply say how this all works. So just one key thing that I wanted to point out. This is a long-term automation strategy. This is not something that happens overnight. If anyone tells you that, they are simply lying. This is all a part of the plan. But let's really go in and dive in and just understand what is happening. So the first step is to identify the problem. And it usually starts when a company identifies a problem, like there's a situation going on and the company decides that they have to address it. The problem could be something around inefficiency. It could be duplicative effort. It could be fragmented systems across multiple departments. It could be an example like when I was in payroll, there was over 90 countries, and of those 90 countries, each one had between 1 and 2 different payroll systems. So you can automatically see that we had a problem on our hand. So once a problem is found out, leadership then decides, hey, I want to be more digital, because everything is all about buzzwords around here. They see one company do it, and the whole point of being a company is to stay competitive. You always want to have the competitive advantage. So they then decide, hey, I want to be more digital, but they do not do this alone. They bring in consultant firms. That's where I was talking about, like the Accentures, the Deloittes, every one of them that are already going through with this initiative because they found out that the market actually needs it. And then they do what they call time studies or workload analysis and process mapping. And what that is, on a very, very simplistic term, is this is where consultants come in and determine the different tasks that are made up of your job. And once they understand the task, they are able to assign time to it. Like, how long does it take to do said task? But they also are doing is placing whether or not those tasks can be automated or manual. And I will talk about this later on in the video on what you can do to prepare for that exact analysis that may come into your organization. Then step 3 is where the models are built. So these consultants come in to document what the employees actually do on a day-to-day, every task, every handoff, every system touch. Then they quantify it. How much time is spent, what can be automated, where the technology can be placed, or what we like to say, augmented, how it can augment your work. Once those functions are documented, they build future state models. And this is outlining what work could look like if AI or machine learning or robotic processing automation were embedded. That's when you start hearing words like efficiency gain, optimization, right sizing. This is the step where you would hear that at. Then we move on to step 4. And this is where the AI agents, the ones I just mentioned before in the beginning part of this video, these agents, or should I say the AI driven automations, can take over tasks. It could be as simple as data validation, it could be report generation, or even basic decision making. Instead of needing multiple analysts, let's just say you're a business analyst, or different coordinators, one person will now oversee several of these AI driven automations that can handle repetitive work at a large scale. So you could see quickly how you could start off with so many people, and then all of a sudden there's no need for those people because automation has been introduced. So now we're going to move into step 5, and this is what we like to call the hybrid workforce transition. Over time, the organization shifts from human-centric workflows to hybrid AI human models. And this is where automation handles the routine and humans are expected, keyword expected, to focus on strategic or exception-based tasks. So these are tasks that cannot be handled by AI at all. There's no way that automation can be introduced into these tasks. And these are the tasks that you want to make sure that you highlight within your job. These are the tasks that you know for sure AI is not going to take over. I know there's a lot of people that think that AI can take over a lot, but AI can't do everything. AI cannot do everything. It is not at that level yet. Let me be the first one to tell you, it is not there yet. Then we move on to step 6. That's where it's the reduction in the workforce. This is the actual laying off, and this is what you see. But here's the reality. Once those models are proving successful, leadership can then justify reducing headcount. That's not because AI is suddenly here to take everyone's job. It's because the groundwork was laid way months earlier, sometimes years, through data analysis, through pilot testing, and ROI, return on your investment projections, showing that fewer people are needed to achieve the same results. So when the layoffs essentially happen, they are not impulsive. It's just the final step in a long planned transformation that began with consultants like, Accentures or Deloittes of the world that came in and road mapped automation efforts for different companies. So I hope that helped explain, or at least give you an idea of how all this works. But now I want to touch on what you can do in order to prepare yourself. Because as I mentioned earlier, this is coming. It's all about what you're going to do and how are you going to plan ahead. So the first thing that you would want to do is to understand your function and understand your role and the tasks that make up your job. And I know before you're like, well, of course I know my job. No, when I say understand it, I mean understand it. Because if one of these people come in, they will do a side-by-side with you, aka a time study, and go through every single detail of your job. If one of your tasks is to get up and walk over to that copy machine, and then you go and print out 100 pages, that's exactly what they are going to document, completely manual. And the first question they're going to ask is, okay, can we embed AI in this process? So the first step that you should do is really do your own analysis on your job. Identify the tasks that make up the job. Once you identify the tasks that make up the job, then you want to ask the question, can this task within the job be replaced by AI? If the answer is yes, then you know there is something that you need to do. You need to start to pivot and upskill to a different area, because that is a clear indicator that, okay, well, that task can be taken away from me. And we all know how this all works. If so many tasks are taken away from you, the job doesn't exist. The job doesn't exist anymore. And that's exactly what happened to me. So many tasks were then taken away that made up my job. So if when you do the analysis, if you're more lopsided towards, oh my gosh, my whole job is completely manual and this can be replaced by AI, we have a problem on our hand. Had I done this exact exercise, I probably still would have been at Accenture, probably. But I didn't see the writing on the wall until it was too far. It was too far. It was already gone. I didn't see any of the signs. I didn't see anything. They caught me slipping. And that's exactly what I do not want you all to be. I don't want you guys to get caught slipping. I want you guys to be aware. That's why I'm giving out this information. I'm dispelling all of that talk that no one's really giving any information out here on how this works. But now you know. Now you know exactly what goes on behind the scenes, so you can better prepare. I'm not telling you this to get mad at your company and stuff like that, because you have to understand, we don't own these companies and they are in the business to make a profit. And if that is what their goal is, I mean, that's just what it is. So the best way to do it is to become equipped and have the knowledge on how to transition and make a plan that is beneficial to you. Because I can guarantee you, these companies, they're going to make sure they keep their best interest in mind. So that's what you need to do. You need to keep your best interest in mind. Now, I feel like I said a lot, but I felt like this video was very, very, very needed, because we have to understand this. Before we can start to move forward, it's not so simple of telling someone, hey, you go learn AI. It's not that simple. And if anyone says that, no, that's just crazy talk. It's not that simple. People have to understand where it's coming from. I wanted to offer that up in this video. Let me know if you understand. Let me know if you would actually like the little, what do you call that? The little PowerPoint that I put together so you can really understand. Maybe you want to read it on your own. Just let me know and I will make that available to you. Also, let me know if you want me to do a very, very detailed video on how exactly to do a self-analyzation, so you can better equip yourself. Let me know in the comments down below on if you want me to do that or not. But other than that, you know what, you guys, thank you so much. And I really appreciate all the feedback from the last video. I never thought in a million years that I would have almost 20,000 people just comment on a video about something I do every single day of my life. I honestly thought that this was like a boring job and stuff like that. It's just something I love to do. But so many people are interested, and this is affecting so many people livelihood. So with that being said, I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video. Peace out.